Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, March 4th, the one day of the year that is in actual command, March 4th. Uh, this is Nadex Morning Analysis. We want to get right into it. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me, my good friend Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Before Brian and I talk about some hot spots today, and we do have some hot spots, we wish we could have actually gone live maybe 5 minutes ago, as Brian and I were talking about some ideas, and the market's just, I mean, it's amazing how quickly it was moving. All right, first, trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. What we're going to be talking about today, two things. One, we've got OPEC plus meeting going on all day, and oil is going to be in play. And it's actually moving as we speak. The second thing that's going on today is the Fed Chairman Powell will be speaking around noon Eastern. And so we'll want to keep our eyes on a couple of things that could potentially move when he speaks. It can move the stock markets, but it would definitely potentially have an impact on gold, and we might even look at the euro yen real quickly. So with that, I'm going to flip it over, and let's start with oil and what's going on with OPEC plus and what we might want to look at today.
Yeah, so we were talking about this all week. Yesterday, just to kind of preface, just so everybody knows where we're at, crude oil inventories yesterday came in absolutely enormous, 21.6 million barrels surplus. It was expected to be a minus 1.3 million deficit. So it's an absolutely huge amount of oil sitting there. I knew that it was going to be a funky number. Admittedly, I didn't think it was going to be that funky, but it got crazy. Interestingly enough, so many people were trying to short, price rose and ended up bouncing off some levels. Today with OPEC plus, we're now starting to see, and again, this is the 5 minutes ago type trade here. We're starting to see news come out. We've seen that Saudi and Russia, this is about 3 hours ago, talking about, discussing a proposal for joint oil output hike, right? Again, producing more oil. And then we just had a comment literally minutes ago talking, Saudi mentioning that we must keep power dry, talking about the oil market has improved and uncertainty around recovery has not receded. Again, this is kind of the fair balancing, right? Saudi oil minister urges caution and vigilance on the market. So again, kind of some negative intonations here. The oil market is not fully recovered yet. We're in much better shape now. Key issues on uncertainty over the coronavirus. And again, they talk about it's not fully recovered, but it's in a much better state. With that said, let's go into a chart. Whoops, right there. So here's a level. And again, we were kind of sitting right here when Todd and I originally first started talking this morning. And we mentioned we had this prior level. And again, yesterday, if you were on, we were sitting right about here. And we mentioned that, again, this 6092 level had been hit a number of times. If you guys remember, I went out there and I threw a bunch of X's out here talking about how many times it needs to hit. And hit number 4 is what broke. Well, we kind of expected that. Now, go higher to where we are, and we can do the same thing. We can say there's hit number 1, there's hit number 2, there's hit number 3, and what we just had seconds ago, boom.
We're literally there at 4, and we said, oh,
yeah,
it's going to hit 4 times. It's going to go right through this thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to go up. And what I mentioned, again, to Todd and everybody else out there is this 62.65 level. Last time price got up here, nice break. It offered us a 1-to-3 risk-to-reward ratio trade off the Sunday gap. So, and again, upper region of the curve, you guys can see, again, using that fib tool, that we're up into the bearish region, right, where we're looking for more bearish trades. So it's an interesting place. Again, they're mentioning that it's recovered. It's not full. It'll be interesting to see how the U.S. trader reacts to it. And again, we just had a huge surplus. Like, we have nowhere else to put oil. And you remember the last time that we had that situation where there was nowhere to store the oil, that's when oil ended up going down to like 0, right? So it's kind of setting up pretty interesting. So I think 62.65 is a pretty interesting level. If the U.S. Open, if the retail trader decides that, hey, we got to get on board this, right? We got to buy it because it's going higher. I think 63.50 up here up top is also a decent level. But right now on the radar is at 62.65, and you can see this emotional.
Getting close to it right now.
Yeah, it's spiked and it's already starting to retreat again because of the seller sitting right above. So, but again, remember, the retail trader has not gotten involved in this trade yet. They will still react, and there will still be more OPEC headlines this morning.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up, and I think probably a risk reward way to play this. Binary options. I'm a big fan of binary options. You know what you're getting into. Every one of these going to 0 or 100. So if you think it's going down, you can sell one of these. If you're looking for a reversal, and this is that level that you can see where it's hit. 1, 2, 3, and literally right before we went on, we're like, this is good. This is going to go through. It went through. Brian had his 62, 65 level, and you could see it nearly got there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop this down to a 10-minute chart. I just want to see. Just give us a few more right here. Yeah, I mean, it tried to poke up there.
It was so close. It was basically the spread difference of
let's pull this down. So oil's definitely in play today. So we're talking about hot spots in the market. We got to continue to watch. You've got Russia saying one thing. We've got supply saying the same thing, that there's all this oil on the market, which was why you saw oil sell off. And then you've got OPEC going the other way, saying no, we're not going to turn it on. We're going to keep it tight. And there you could see that they actually are trying to encourage the price to go higher. So everyone's got conflicting interests, and the market reacts pretty quickly. We generally also say, take what OPEC says with a little bit of a grain of salt. Part of that is also, remember, the largest producer of oil for the United States is the United States. So, really, when it comes to the impact to us, to the price of oil in the United States, it's more impacted by what happens in Texas than what OPEC says. But because everyone around the globe is listening to what OPEC says, it can impact the markets. Potential rollover here as it spikes through this 61.95 level. You could already see that there's still green candles here, but an opportunity to potentially go short this at some point as more news comes out. So got some levels to watch in oil. Let's move on to the second story of the day, which would be Powell speaking. The Fed chairman, he's teed up to speak at noon today, and we always need to tread lightly when he talks.
Yep. Yeah, so whenever Powell speaks, again, he's typically talking about basically the economy, interest rates, stimulus, Fed buybacks, bonds. And again, he's been kind of a hot button lately with recovery. I didn't see this morning, maybe it did go through, but pretty much I think they've come to an agreement in the Senate on the 1.9 trillion, which is interesting that the bill can change. It can pass one, but then go to the other one and they can manipulate it. But that's definitely coming. We're back down at that same level, that 1713, and it's a level we talked about. If you guys remember, we had 2 here. We talked about it breaking through, coming through. You can see it's really found some support down here. It's really stabilizing itself, and you can see that, for the most part, let me see if I can make this bigger so everybody can kind of see the candles, what I'm talking about. Seeing these wicks, every time it keeps spiking down right into the 72, this one, I'm sorry, not 72, 1702, it's kind of launching itself higher and higher. So there's definitely buyers stepping in down here. If there weren't, price would continue to collapse through and really break that 1700, which is going to be a huge psychological level. With Powell speaking today, it's kind of an interesting scenario because, again, anything with increased stimulus or, comments about we're not quite as recovered as we thought, right? All the data yesterday was red, and Powell is going to absolutely have to bring that up. For those of you that weren't on yesterday, you can see that our non-farm employment changed. We're hiring less people back. Our services number went down. We got huge amount of crude oil, surplus because people, a number of different factors. So it's kind of an interesting scenario. Again, I got to say, for low risk entries, this may be an opportunity for us to go long. And if we do, again, we need to make sure we're very respectful of the 1759. The last time price was there, it got hammered right back down again. And again, Powell has the power to basically talk about, hey, we're not raising interest rates for a while, or we're starting to see inflation creep in. He mentions the I word, boom, this thing's going to pop. Inflation, gold goes higher. So
let's and you can see this is back over on the Nadex platform. Gold has definitely been in a downtrend, but you can see it has stabilized for sure as of late, and it's holding that 1700 level. Now and again, this is a 10-minute chart. I'm gonna zoom in here so we can really get a good look. we have this 1700 level below, which we know it really does. It has these, it has support. Buyers step in and they're protecting that level. If you were looking for an opportunity to potentially, if it drops back down into the 1700 range and you wanted to try to take a chance to catch a bounce, there's some knockouts down here that could be rather interesting, where again you've got limited risk. I mean, if it breaks down, and this one's got a floor at 1702, but you could choose which one works best for you. There's an opportunity to potentially try to go long gold in a limited risk way. Now, the other thing I want to mention is, even though it's limited risk because you would get knocked out below if you were to try to do something like this, now you've got a lot of room for it to run to the upside, but we also know that there are selling levels between here and where it would get knocked out. And just because there's an expiration associated with this knockout, which is actually tomorrow afternoon, if you were to catch a bounce in gold, you bought this and it went higher, you don't have to wait to see what's going to happen. You could always, hey, if it got up to the 1740 level where we know some sellers have stepped in, you could just sell it back out and take a profit. You don't have to watch it then potentially come back down and maybe lose on a trade if you happen to catch the right way. So remember, knockouts, just because there's an expiration doesn't mean you have to wait to see what happens. You can sell one and buy it back later. You can buy one and sell it back out later. You can day trade these, but those levels are there sort of as safeguards in case it makes a big move outside of a range. All right. Brian, I wanted to ask if you want to throw anything else out there. I mean, gold is going to be interesting with Powell talking, oil with OPEC talking. Anything else you wanted to cover real quickly before we let people get ready?
I would just say keep this on your radar. You know, we're watching kind of what's going on. And obviously, whenever we talk about Powell, it's going to affect the overall stock indices. One bit of news that just came across, and I saw it kind of popping up over here, I wanted to find it, was basically Germany saying that they're going to increase their debt level or increase debt spending, which again is not normally the best. The United States is typically the best at that, but our GDP kind of, we can justify some more of it than other countries. Them saying that they need to do this to tackle the coronavirus is not necessarily the most positive sign for the EU. One currency that we kind of talked about a little while ago, where's the top? There it is.
Hey, Brian, which chart package, by the way, are you using when you look at your charts?
This one right now, this is MT4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just an open source. If IG has a number of different platforms that you can use. MT4 is one of them. It's open source and it's free, so that's why I use it, so people can chart with it if they want it to look like that.
I just wanted to point that out, that if IG has a chart package you can get if you go to IG.com, you could get
IG.us.
IG. Well, I'm sorry, you're right. IGUS. You can get access to MT4, and then Nadex, the dark charts, and they're actually quite similar. I kind of like that dark theme that Nadex has, but Nadex has also got a light theme. You can customize them and set them up however you want. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I was actually pulling it up. And if you guys do like these kinds of charts, again, here's IG's platform right here. So, I mean, again, they're all the same. All charts tell you the same exact thing. I mean, I could do the euro yen over here as well. I think it was on a 4-hour. I'll switch back. But again, this is IG's actual web platform. Again, I use TradingView. I use a bunch of different sets of software. But there's a level right here, this 129.33. You can see we're driving into it right now. If I put on my back tool here, you guys can see that this was a level that we had talked about last week, this 129.41. We had great sellers coming off of this. It got front run. It came and actually triggered, but this is a lot of movement, very, very fast, very strong movement. It's about 75 pips. So again, nice move. We're approaching that level right now as well. So again, you may say, hey, euro yen, what does it have to do with, Powell? Well, Powell will move the stock indices. The yen is the proxy for the stock indices. And again, euro markets are closed. Germany's putting data out now, or quotes that are not necessarily the best. So it's kind of one of those things that may be something to watch later. We'll see. We're going to have to see what the open does if it goes through. But 129.41, 129.86 are 2 euro yen positions, I think, today that, again, particularly around when Powell speaks, could be, potential shorts for later on today.
Excellent. All right. With that, if you got any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. We are very accessible. We're here to help you. And if you've got questions or concerns or need help with your account, our products, whatever, We can't help if you don't reach out. So please reach out to us at customer service at nadex.com. Brian is also very accessible. Support at keeptradingsimple.com. With that, I think we've given you some great things to consider today. Watch oil, watch gold. That euro yen could be an interesting one as well. And we will catch you again tomorrow morning. And want to wish you all good luck in the markets. Thanks, everyone.